Let's have a conversation about stories. There is power in your story, power that can positively impact another person in ways you may never know. At Inspired Woman, the stories people share help change lives every day. I'm Marcy Narum, and this is Inspired Woman Conversations. Welcome, everybody. My guest today is Dr. Gallagher, a neuropsychologist with Sanford Neuroscience. Thank you for joining me by way of Zoom today, Doctor.
Thank you.
Our conversation today is all about the relevant issue of the day and coronavirus, social distancing, specifically isolation. Before we get into that, though, can you tell me what a neuropsychologist does and how you help people?
Sure. Psychology is kind of a subspecialty of clinical psychology. So most of us think of psychology as kind of the talk therapy, helping folks out with depression and anxiety. Neuropsychology is more specialized in psychological testing with folks who have had injuries to their brain or having changes to their brain. So folks who might have had like a traumatic brain injury or stroke. I also do testing with folks, to help diagnose dementia. And so my role right now is a little more special, but I still do work with folks in the behavioral health side of things for the talk therapy, coping skills and stuff too.
Okay. So during this time with social distancing and really isolation for some people, is it fair to ask that maybe people who have suffered post-traumatic stress disorder, that this might be a time to be concerned about them or to watch out and check on them?
Yeah, so anyone who has a mental health diagnosis, whether it's post-traumatic stress or depression or anxiety, this type of situation is very much out of the norm, and so it could certainly make symptoms worse. So if we've got someone we care about who is dealing with mental health difficulties in general, this is probably a time we want to bump up our support for them and make sure that we're giving them what they need so they can make it through. Just as we want to take care of everybody else who might, need an extra run to the grocery store if they can't do it themselves, right? Same kind of thing.
Yeah. How would you suggest doing that? What are some good ways that we can take care of people and even know that they might need, somebody to check on them?
Yeah, I've seen some really creative ways that folks have been working to check on each other. I've seen neighbors who put different colored signs in their windows. So green is I'm doing okay today, yellow is I need something from you, or red is I'm not doing good, help right away. I've seen folks on Facebook putting different colored hearts based on how they're feeling, and then friends can send them messages or give them a call. Because humans, we are so social, a text message might not always do it for everyone. So we use something like this, like Zoom or Skype, FaceTime. Say, hi, I'm thinking about you. Those would be really good ways, and making sure we check in every day. And some folks might need more than one time a day, and you can talk with your loved ones about that and what they think would be most helpful. It doesn't hurt to check too much. And some folks are going to be really fine when maybe they really need a little check-in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not like we can go to their house now and give them a hug. And that's one of the biggest things, I think, that at least I can speak for myself, that I am missing that. I am missing my family and friends and the little people in my life that I just want to scoop up and hug tightly. My husband is getting a lot more hugs lately. The importance of touch and hugging. If you can
Absolutely.
speak to that.
Yeah, definitely. That's a huge part of our social interaction. It's not only the, tone of voice and the facial expressions and those signs of connection that we use with hugs or handshakes or, an arm on the shoulder or a hand on the shoulder or whatnot. Finding other ways to meet those tactile or touch-based needs could be helpful in the interim. It's not the same, but I've been snuggling my dogs a lot more. It's not the same, but you know, if you've got a pet, make sure you use your pet as your social support. Finding touch items that are some lotion or comfortable clothes you can find, any of those types of things that bring you comfort. It's not the same, but it might meet that need a little bit.
The extension of the social distancing then to the end of April, you know, now we have another month to look ahead to social distancing. You know, are there some things that we can do to prepare ourselves, you know, to kind of set a routine, or what would you advise?
I think that maintaining a normal routine is crucial. So even if you're staying home or working from home or things like that, getting up at the same time every day like you do, getting dressed in your normal work clothes like you would, their meals at normal times, going to bed at the same time, trying to keep that consistency is really important. Our bodies like a sense of predictability and control.
What about resources? Are there resources that you can recommend for, you know, even just coping or developing and building skills for coping in times like this?
Yeah, so the CDC website has information about the medical side of things, but they also have information. The American Psychological Association has a whole page dedicated to COVID-19 and resources available for mental health. The National Alliance for Mental Illness is a mental health, nationwide mental health group, and they have a whole pamphlet, online pamphlet set aside for patients and for their family members with information for coping. And those are not the only websites out there, and they all have links to other helpful places. So I would recommend just keeping up with those reputable sources, and then, you know, if you have a mental health provider, making sure that you stay connected with them. I know a lot of my colleagues, and myself included, we're moving to telehealth so that we can still reach out to people, but keeping that safe distance, keeping people safe. So there are a lot of good resources.
Are you seeing an increase in people wanting to get in and see you? I mean, have people been reaching out even when they haven't had an appointment and wanting to get in?
I've actually been seeing people asking, like, should I come into my appointment? Should we do this over the video conference? Concern about keeping themselves safe. I don't know about the numbers, whether or not we're seeing more folks reach out or not yet.
The other thing that I've been seeing is adults talking about on Facebook about having nightmares about this. So it stands to reason that children might be as well.
Absolutely. So with kiddos, we're going to do the exact same thing we're going to do with adults. We're going to, number one, speak in the language that they understand. So using terms that make sense to them, and validating how they feel, just like we validate ourselves, and using realistic language. So we can't go over to our friend's house because we want to keep everybody safe and healthy. And so let's find some other things that we can do to connect with our friends. We can do the same thing with kiddos. Kids love art projects. They also do really well with maintaining their routines. So just like our normal routine is good for us, it's really good for our kiddos. So, and sometimes kids, we don't always see the emotional stuff. We see the physical stuff, the tummy aches, the headaches, those types of things might be signs that they're a little more anxious or a little more upset. So being on the lookout for maybe more physical symptoms, that might be a sign of stress or anxiety. And again, the APA, the American Psychological Association, and the CDC also have information about how to help kids through this too.
I did think of one more thing, and that is any concern about suicide at this time.
We want to be mindful of that. If we've got someone who's prone to depression or anxiety, it could be there. I don't know of studies that necessarily say that this would increase it, but we want to be mindful of it and watch for it. And that's why we have those communication systems with our loved ones. Mm-hmm. And if you're concerned about someone and aren't able to get a hold of them, you can always call in for extra resources and have someone get like a welfare check if we need it. But that's probably something that's going to be rare. We wouldn't need to use, but it's available if we do need it.
And there is a talk line, right, for suicide prevention?
Yes, there is. It's 1-800-273-TALK. If you're feeling like you need that, we've got those good resources. I think there's even I don't know it off the top of my head, I think there's a text service too now that you can text if you need help.
Very good. I appreciate your time so much. Really important information and reminder that we are in this together and we'll get through it together. And thanks to professionals like you, and your colleagues who are on the front lines. Thank you. And be well. Thanks,
Yes,
Doctor.
You too. Thank you.
Be sure to keep up with all of our Inspired Woman conversations by visiting our website, inspiredwomanonline.com. Follow us on Facebook or on Instagram TV at Inspired Woman by Marcy. We'll see you next time.